Hello everyone. Today I'm going to say about 8 immortals of China. First of all, who is an immortal? Immortal is a person who can live for a long period of time, not just like for 60 or 70 years. It means they can live for centuries and centuries. In each and every culture, there are immortals. So these immortals and this culture are deeply connected. So if you took Chinese culture, in Chinese culture, there are 8 immortals who are deeply connected in each and every, in their Chinese culture, in arts, literature, and everything. These 8 immortals are connected, and not only that, the religion they are connected is Taoism. Taoism is a religion which is based on the teachings of Laozi. If they did good things, mm, basic of all religion, if they did good things, and if they know, if they love nature, and if they did good things, like that, in according to their religion, according to their beliefs, if you do good things and so on, according to the beliefs of Taoism, if you do good things and if you unlock the secrets of the nature, you will gain the immortality. So in according to Taoism, there are many immortals. So there are many immortals. Only the 8 immortals are known to the world, and some immortals are famous in some parts of China. So you, if you're asking, there are only 8 immortals. No, according to according to Taoist religion, if you reach for higher standard, you can become an immortal. So there are many immortals. Some are famous and some are not known, and some are not going to tell the people. Going to tell the people that they are immortal. So they keep a low profile. So it is believed that these 8 immortals are born during Tang or Shang dynasties of China. And not only that, it has been believed that they lived in the 5 islands of Bohai Sea. 5 islands. It has been there mainly in there of they have been born in or born or lived during in 5 islands of Bohai Sea. And not only that, these 8 immortals have some kind of weapons that can vanquish the evil, and these 8 immortals have different kind of powers, and not only that, they have different kinds of weapons too. And with these weapons, they draw their powers and they fight for justice and vanquish the evil whenever needed. So these 8 immortals. Now I want to tell you about each and every immortal. So let's get the first one, which we are going to, whom we are going to see is He Jiangu. He Jiangu is an immortal woman. She is the only woman in that in that group. Okay, He Jiangu was born with exactly 6 hairs on her head. Just see, 6 hairs on her head. 6 hairs on her head. It was obvious that there was something special about her. At the age of 14, a vision came to her in a dream, like a dream which came to her, which told her to gradually decrease her food intake and begin eating powdered mica every day, so she could avoid death forever. And while eating it, she vowed to remain a virgin. According to a different version, Hiziango, daughter of a 7th century shopkeeper, ate a magical peach and became immortal. Since then, she is flying about. She headed the divine message and eventually ascended to throne. Ascended to heaven. Sorry, her lotus. She has a lotus. Her lotus was believed to have been the ability to improve physical and mental health. She has a lotus. That lotus is that is a weapon. That is a weapon she has. So lotus is just a flower, but that flower, with this lotus flower, she can have the ability to improve physical and mental health of people. Occasionally, she is attributed with a peach, the divine fruit of gods, associated with immortality, or a music instrument, or a ladle to dispense wisdom, meditation, and purity. So the second immortal is Cao Gu Jiu, the royal uncle Cao. Cao Gu Jiu is reputed to have been the brother of a 10th century Shang empress, the uncle to the emperor of the Shang dynasty, and the son of a military commander. an official who served in the imperial court. His attribute, the castellans, are thought to be derived from the pass that gave him free access to the palace, a benefit of his ranks. He is also attributed with a jade tablet which can purify the air. According to another version, Cao Gujiu's younger brother, Cao Xingxi, was a bully, but no one dared to prosecute him because of his powerful connections. Cao Gujiu tried to make up for his brother's grievances and used his money to pay off his gambling debts. Not even after he killed a person, royal Uncle Cow was so overwhelmed by sadness and shame on his brother that he resigned his office and retired to the countryside to study Taoism and eventually achieved immortality. He is represented by wearing formal court dress, always the finest dress among all eight immortals, and carrying castanets. Kao Guju is the patron deity of actors for actors. So Kao Guju is a person who have been lived in imperial court, and his special power, ah, his special that weapon is castanets. So in that he has his castanet, and he is believed the patent deity of actors. So now the third one. The third immortal is Li Tai Guai or the Iron Crutch Li. Iron Crutch Li. Li Tai Guai, a good-looking man and had a short temper. He had a very short temper. He took up Taoist studies under the guidance of Lao Tzu. So he directly took the study from the Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, who told him how to leave his physical body and to travel to heaven, meet others in celestial realms. So Lao Tzu taught Lai Ti Guai, Lai Ti Guai of this Taoism, and he taught him how to leave his physical body and travel to heaven, and he taught him how to do that. Wow. So Li Tai Guai used his skill frequently. Once, while his spirit was gone from his body, Li Tai Guai lost track of time and left his body for 6 days. A disciple, some say it's a disciple, and some say his wife, decided that Li Tai Guai was dead and burned his body as was tradition. When Li Tai Guai's soul returned from its travels, he was forced to enter the body of a beggar. He is represented as a lame beggar carrying a double gourd. The gourd symbolizing longevity and the ability to ward off evil. As a cloud emanating from it, the cloud represents the soul. Depicted as a formless shape, the god represents also helping the needy and relieve the distress. Sometimes Li Tai Gua is pictured riding the killing. Li Tai Gua is the emblem of the sick. So he uh, he can travel from his body. So he unlock his power. So now he can leave his body and travel to the heavens. So one day while he was traveling, he forgot how many days he was traveling, and his body was kept there in ground in earth, and the people around him thought that he was dead for around 6 days. So what they did, they burned his body. So when his spirit came to earth, when he found out that his body is not there, his spirit get into a beggar's body who was sleeping nearby, get into a beggar's body, and he was mostly looked like a beggar. He mostly looked like a beggar, and not only that, he is the emblem. He is the emblem of the sick. So each and everyone has a special power. Like that, his special power is relieve the distress, the helping the needy. He can help the needy and relieve the distress of them. So now the fourth immortal, Lan Kai. Lan Kai is the immortal hermaphrodite. Len Kai is said to have wandered the streets as a beggar. He used to have wandered as a beggar while singing a song about the brevity of immortal life. Her attribute is a basket of flowers associated with longevity, which he or she carries to remind viewers of the transience of life and with which she or he can communicate with gods. She or he is variously portrayed as a youth, an aged man, or a girl in modern pictures, generally as a young boy. She or he is represented by wearing a tattered blue gown and only one shoe. Lenkai is the patron deity of florists. Lenkai was described as an intersex person or a man who believed he was meant to be a woman. One day, after getting very drunk, Lan left immortal world by riding to heaven on the back of the crane. So Len Kai. So it has been described that Len Kai is an intersex person. That means he is born as a man, but is believed that he is a woman. And in the most drawings in most arts, he has been pictured as a male or female. In some, they have been pictured even as a young boy. So now we are going to the fifth immortal, Lu Dongbin. Lu Dongbin is the chief leader. So the fifth immortal is Lu Dongbin, a chief leader. He is the leader of these eight immortals. Okay. Now Lu Dongbin was an 8th century scholar, one of the most popular figures of the Ba Xian. Ba Xian means eight immortals in Chinese. Ba means eight, Xian means immortals or celestials. Ba Xian means eight immortals. Ba Xian. Lu Dongbin was considered to be the leader of the eight immortals. He was once a beloved Tang dynasty poet who was immortalized as a member of the Ba Xian after his death. So before he became an immortal, Lu Dongbin's name was Lu Yuan and underwent 10 trials to prove Zhongli Quan that he was worthy enough to become his disciple. He learned the secrets of Taoism. So he learned the secrets of Taoism from Zhuang Li Quan. Just as a scholar, he is honored as such. His attributes, the sword, which can subdue the evil, allowed him to travel the earth, slaying dragons and fighting evil. He is represented with a sword on his back and a fly brush in his hand. Lu Dongbin is also the patron deity of barbers. He was also associated with the culturally significant story of the yellow millet dream. In this legend, Lu Dongbin fell asleep at the stove while cooking a pot of millet. In his dream, he worked his way up to a lofty position in the Chinese government, married, got fired, and divorced over the course of 18 years. When he woke up, he was left feeling confused and empty. The dream was given to him by Zhongli Quan to help him realize the meaningless of material achievements in life. So Lu Dongbin is the chief leader, is the main leader of these eight immortals. Uh, wow. He have to face 10 trials before he become the disciple of Zhongli Quan. Zhongli Quan is also a immortal. We'll talk about him. He is also an immortal, so he became a disciple of him, and his main weapon is a sword, which can kill the evil. And he has slayed the dragons and fight the evil too. So now let's go to sixth one, Han Xiangzi. Han Xiangzi, the philosopher Han Xiang. Han Xiangzi is said to have been the nephew of Han Yu, a famous scholar of the 9th century. Han Yu enrolled Han Xiangzi in a Confucian school to better prepare him to become an official. But Han Xiangzi had no interest in his studies, so Han Yu enrolled his grandnephew in a Buddhist school instead. But Han Xiangzi was still not interested in his teacher's lessons. One day, Han Xiangzi picked a blooming peony and showed his granduncle that he had developed the ability to change the color of the flowers. Realizing that he had been gifted with special abilities by heaven, Han Xiangzi then decided to return to his home village where he met Lu Dongbin and Zhuangli Quan, who taught him about Taoism. Among his special skills was the ability to make flowers bloom instantly and smooth wild animals. His attribute is the flute, which can cause growth. He is represented as a happy man. Han Xiangzi is a patron saint of musicians. So Han Xiangzi is his special weapon is a flute. His special weapon is a flute, and with that flute, uh, he can grow any. He can grow flowers. It is called which can cause growth for flowers, and he can tame the wild beast also. He is mostly represented as a happy man. So the seventh one, Zhang Gu Lao, the elder Zhang Gu Lao is reputed to have been a recursive of the 7th or 8th century. Zhang Gu Lao was said to have been a real-life occult alchemist who dabbled in necromancy. During his life, Zhang Gualo was something of an eccentric and was known to drink water from petals of poisonous flowers. That's too bad. Snatched birds out of the sky with his bare hands, and enjoyed traveling at least 1,000 miles a day. That's hard. On the back of his trusty white mule, mule means that's okay. One day, when he was visiting a temple, Zhang Gualo suddenly died and his body underwent rapid decomposition. But just a few days later, he was seen alive and on a nearby mountain. After many years of Taoist study, Zhang Gualo suddenly fell ill. Despite his wide knowledge of necromancy, he actually died this time, and his body was found in Zhuangtiao Mountains. His disciples buried his body, but when they came back a few days later to pay their respect, they discovered his corpse had disappeared. It is believed that after his final death, Zhang Guo physically ascended to heaven. He traveled with a white mule that could go incredible distance and then be folded up and placed in a wallet. Zhang Guolu had only to sprinkle water to the mule to reconstitute it for further use. Zhang Guolu attribute is a drum made of a bamboo tube with two rods with which to strike it. The drum can cure life is represented as an old man riding the mule, at times riding backwards. Zhang Guolu is the emblem of old men. So Zhang Guolu is an old man. He can cure life. If anyone is sick, he can cure them. He can cure life. That means I think he can give them life. I think yes. He has a drum. That is his weapon. So the last but not least, eighth one, the eighth immortal, Zhuangli Quan. Zhuangli Quan was reputed to have lived during the Zhao dynasty. Zhao dynasty, which means very far, like 112 to 256 BC, 1122 to 256 BC. So before Christ, that means he is the oldest one, considered to be one of the oldest of the Bazian. Bazian means eight immortals. When Zhongli Quan was born, he emerged from his mother's body in a shower of blinding lights with the ability to speak. He served as a prominent general of the Han dynasty. His military exploits took him to Tibet, where he learned Taoist teachings and devoted himself to meditation. During a meditation session, he materialized into a cloud of gold dust and ascended to heaven. Among his many powers were transmutation and the knowledge of the Elysia of life. His attribute is a fan which can bring the dead back to life, so he can give life to the dead and materialize gold and silver out of thin air. He is represented as a fat man with his bare belly showing. Zhongli Quan represents the military man. So Zhongli Quan is also a military man. Not only military man, he is depicted in the pictures as a fat man showing his bare belly. And not only that, he has a big fan. He's a big fan. That fan is a weapon which he can give life to a dead, and not only life to a dead, he can materialize gold and silver out of thin air. That means he can bring gold and silver in thin air. Wow, that's a great power. So here are some fun facts about the eight immortals. So these eight immortals are mostly connected in Chinese culture. These eight immortals have been most depicted in their movies too. So if we took Jackie Chan's movie, The Drunken Master, in The Drunken Master you can see Jackie Chan is said to practice these eight drunken styles, the eight styles. These eight styles, they will tell the names. If you rewatch the movie, then you can find out these eight immortals. They are these eight immortals. They use these eight immortals as eight persons who have developed this drunken boxing. Not only that, if you have watched the animated version of Jackie Chan's The Adventure, in that too they have used these eight immortals. And not if in the foreign, according to the foreign news, if you took a comic book, Marvel's Immortal Iron Fist, if you took Marvel's Immortal Iron Fist, in that Immortal Iron Fist too, they have been mentioned about these eight immortals and their weapons too. Mostly their weapons. They have been connected that there are eight weapons that could destroy the evil. So, uh, these eight immortals are deeply connected in Chinese culture, and not only that, they are very connected in a few. Took their arts means if your arts, literature, in everything it has been connected. So they plays a main role in Chinese culture. So if you need to know any other things, just let me down in the comments below. I'll talk to you later. Bye.